So, is someone telling you you're addicted to video games? Like, seriously? Are your parents giving you a hard time because of the amount that you like to play, or how often you like to play, or what you like to play? Is someone giving you grief? Maybe a friend, a family member? How much do you play? So welcome to my video game time test experiment. Now, this time test experiment is all a little bit of fun, but also a little bit of serious because at the end of the day, our time is the most valuable thing we own. I kid you not. It is something that until you really have a think about it, well, let's have a quick think about it. Time. Well, you're born with this gift. You're born with this thing called life, but life is very simply a conversion of time. No one knows how much time you're given and when it will run out. Now, the average American, for example, lives to about 75. So let's just use that as an example. Most of us get to live to 75 years old. Now, there's an exception. Some of us get to live older, some die younger, but let's leave that there. 75 years will be our benchmark for average American. Okay, so now every single day you have 86,400 seconds in a day. That's it. Not a second more, not a second less. Everyone gets the same amount of time, 86,400 seconds. So everyone's born with the same amount of time and the same amount of seconds per day. Now, if you understand all of that, your time is also running away from you all the time. It is literally being stolen, taken, or slipping away. There is nothing you can do to stop it. The 60 seconds I've spent with you, you'll never get back. So I'm hoping that this video is so valuable that it is worth your time and that you continue to watch, because I promise you, if you get to the end of the video, it'll explain why this experiment might be so important to take part in. First of all, I just want to show you the data that's come in already. And well, we know that, for example, the video game playing trends for this last few years, well, an average amount of hours played per week. By now, the data's already out there. I mean, look, seriously, with this already published information, we know that 5,000 people ages 2 years old and up were surveyed, and they showed that the average amount of playing time was, well, 16 and a half hours a week. So now that might sound like a lot to you, or might not sound a lot, but I want you to get a pen and paper out, or pencil and paper, maybe even get a calculator out, so that you can do this experiment with me and take part and play along. And when you get your results, and if you're happy with the pass or not happy with the fail, I want to know all about it. But first of all, we got to get into it, right? So the data is there and it's proven already. I mean, so first things first, I want you to write down some data. We're going to use this data to help, well, show us the facts, and the facts will show us the knowledge that we need to get from this experiment. So just bear with me. Grab pen and paper, get that calculator, and first I want you to write down, how old were you the very first memory of your very first thoughts of playing a video game. Now, some of my students were, 2-3 years old, playing Angry Birds on a grown-up's mobile phone, right? Or, some speed car game on maybe one of those things, right? But still a video game. Your earliest memory. My other students, they're a bit older now. The average age for most of my students is about 5 years old. So I'm going to use that as my example for this video. All right, so once you've written down how old you were, that very first earliest memory, whatever the age that was, all right, now I want you to also think, okay, at the age of 18, say if something magical happened that, might be kind of grown up, like going to get a job, going to college or university, or traveling the world, maybe buying an apartment, or doing something amazing, which will affect your gaming habits tremendously. So just for the fun of it, for the next 60 seconds, I want you to imagine for some crazy reason, you decided to stop playing video games. Bear with me. I'm not telling you to. I would never do that. I promised you I would never do that, so I won't. But I need you to imagine you stop playing, because it gives me a stopping number. So let's say that you stopped playing video games at the age of 18. So now we have a starting number. I'm going to use the age 5 years old. Remember, in my example, you use the age that you started, but 5 years old is a starting age. And then up to the age of 18, you can, well, play video games. So how many years of gaming did you have? Riddle me that. And if you started at 5 and you finished at 18, well, remember 18 minus the 5, that will tell you 13 years of gaming you will have. So that tells me a great piece of data, a fact, a piece of black and white, 13 years. I think you would agree with me. So how many years of gaming did you have? That's the number you wanted to figure out at this part in time. Hopefully now you have. Let's continue. Okay. So next question, how many hours do you play during the weekdays? Now, I say weekdays and not weekends as well, because I know most of us have a very different amount of time to play on the weekends. So let's just figure out the weekdays. Now, during the weekdays, funnily enough, I have students that are, maybe half an hour, or maybe an hour. I have students that are 2, 3, 4 hours and even more. Now, I have the average for most of my students set at around 2 hours a day. I've noticed from the thousands and thousands of students playing video games that have taken my time experiment that the average number that pops up is really about 2 hours a day. So I'll be using 2 hours a day as my baseline, okay? You may be more, you may be less, but please write down the amount of hours that you play on average. If you're not sure, think about how many hours have you played in the last week or so during the weekdays, and was that average? Okay, so that's the first bit. How many hours are you playing on average during the weekdays, and then on the weekend, Saturday and or Sunday, how much do you play on those days too? Now, I have most students play 2 or 3 hours more than they would play during the weekdays. If you're playing around 2 hours on the weekdays, you probably play 3, 4, or 5 hours on a Saturday, 3, 4, or 5 hours on a Sunday. That's pretty average. That's quite normal. I'm going to be using those numbers. 2 hours on the weekdays, and I'll be using 3 hours on the weekend days. Okay. Now we've collected our data. We know how many years we roughly going to play, and we know how much roughly we play during the weekdays and how much we play on the weekends. Let's do a little bit of fun. Now, I love numbers. Numbers are black and white. This is such a great experiment because at the end of the day, I won't choose if you passed or failed the experiment. You're going to choose. And I'll explain why in a minute. But let's have a look to see where we're going to go. I call this the bigger picture. Now, this time test experiment, the bigger picture, allows us to look at what? Well, the bigger picture, because when you're in a game, right, sometimes you're in that game, you can't always see what's going on in the world around you because it can become quite a time warp. There is a reason for that. I'll explain in one of my next videos. But at the end of the day, really, this time warp can allow us to be hours and hours, 8, 10 hours in a game, and it will feel like minutes or less than an hour. It allows us to bend time. It is a really powerful thing because did you know there is no human measurement system for time in a human? We don't have an organ or an ability to measure it without a watch. There is no way of checking. It's not like you can hear a time. Humans have no way of measuring time other than the watch that we will wear to look at or know. But it's very difficult if you're in a cave to know what time it is without some kind of device. So let's check out this most valuable thing we own being time, right? Let's now have some fun. So first things first, we want to work out how many hours a week do you play? Well, this is going to be easy because now you know how many hours per day you play, right? So we said 2. So 2 hours during the weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's 2 hours a day for 5 days. Well, that's 10 hours, right? Everyone agree? Good, 10 hours. So, okay. Then, well, we said we got to figure out on the weekends. 3 hours Saturday, 3 hours Sunday in this case, right? So that's going to be, well, 6 on the weekends plus the 10 on the weekdays, and that is 16. Ta-da! Magic that. You know how we were just looking at the national averages of the data on that chart? Well, funnily enough, 16 and a half hours was actually agreed upon as a published piece of data as well. So I think the experiment so far is going very well using the average numbers I have. Now, of course, your numbers may be different. Please continue with your numbers. This will be where you will find the result that you're looking for to see if you passed or failed your time experiment. So now we figured out, obviously, that the 10 plus the 6 is 16 hours a week. And now you guys know that there's, well, 52 weeks to a year, right? So that tells us 16 hours per week times 52 weeks in a year. Have you done it on the calculator? Have you done my maths? That is 832 hours per year. Can you imagine trying to play your favorite video game for 832 hours straight? No breaks, no toilet, no food, just 24 hours a day, every day for 832 hours straight. No, it's a trick question, right? It's just not possible. In fact, 832 hours, just so you know, 832 hours divided by 24 hours in a day. That tells us that's, well, 34 and a half days of your year. 24 hours in a day. Now, you guys know there's 32 days in a month, right? I'm just saying. Okay, so let's do the maths here. So that is 16 hours, right, per week times 52 weeks. And that tells us, wow, 832 hours. Now, this isn't it's still a number, right? It's no big deal, 832 hours until you think, well, how much that is. Can you imagine trying to play your favorite video game for 832 hours straight? No breaks, no toilet, no food, no getting out, no just keep grinding that game for 832 hours straight. Yeah, right? You know, it's a trick question because 832 hours, by the way, divided by 24 hours in a day tells me that is going to be 34.6 days of your year. That's 1 month, by the way. Those of you 32, yeah, 32 days. So 32 days. So that's 1 month and 2.5 days of your year is inside a video game. That's if you could play every day for 24 hours a day for 34.5 days. Not humanly possible. Not going to work, right? It just isn't. That's why it's a trick question. But we can go one step further, right? So 832 hours, right, per year. That's 1 year. And we said from the age of 5 to the age of 18, that's 13 years. So times 13 years, and then 832 hours times 13 years, right? That will tell us that you will play before the age of 18, 10,816 hours of your life. And wow, this isn't a crazily important, interesting number, because at the end of the day, this is much more than a lot of you might expect. But even interestingly and more so, it's above the 10,000 golden rule. Have you guys ever heard of the 10,000 hour golden rule? This thing is a phenomenon. It's amazing. It means if you do anything for 10,000 hours or more, you're not just going to be good at it. You'll probably be a pro. You'll probably be amazing. I mean, you'll probably get paid to do something you love to do. You like Legos, you'll be a Lego master builder traveling the world, making a lot of money. You play music, or you're a musician or a singer, or play an instrument, you're going to be, traveling the world, getting paid good money. If you're an artist or a writer, you're going to be well known. You're going to change the world with 10,000 hours or more. It makes you amazing at something. But interestingly enough, you're going to spend 10,816 hours. And just so you know, that's divided by 24 hours in a day. That is going to be 450 days. In fact, 450 and a half days. 450 days of your life before the age of 18. Come on, you guys know how many days are in a year, right? 365. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, this number that you've come up with, how you reacted to this number and how you feel about that number is how you either pass or fail this test. If you're happy with the amount of hours that you put into it, and you're happy that using the most valuable thing you own, your time, something you'll never get back, something that you'll never be able to pay or chase or get otherwise in any other way, if you're happy to give that up so freely right now for this topic and this subject, and that sits well with you, then that's a pass. You're happy. If you're not happy with the time that you're spending in a game, are you not happy, or this amount of time is a surprise to you and that causes a negative reaction, and that is something that you don't like the idea of and that you want to change, and that you feel that if by changing you could use that time more wisely for so many other things, like your friendships, like your grades, like your academic future, like your career future, the hobbies that you might want to choose that might change your life completely, all these things that are so much more amazing in life that might want to spend a lot more time doing, or at least balancing properly, because that's what this is all about, just getting the right balance of happy and work and play and all this stuff, right? It's just balance. Drink too much water, you drown. You eat too much food, you explode. Even food and water need balancing, right? I mean, it's everything in life does. So if you want to know more about that balancing and how to do that, I'm going to be doing that more in another video. But guys, here's the thing. If you found this information useful today, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because by doing that, other people will be able to get to see my videos, because that's kind of how the algorithm thing works on these things. And by you helping me with that little favor, it really does allow me to be seen by other people that might find this more useful. So I really appreciate it. And it also means on the next live video skills that I'll be putting out here soon, you'll be getting notifications for that too. And I promise you it'll be worth your time as equally as much as this one was. I decided, as a computer scientist, I thought I'd make your life a little bit easier and write a little bit of a program, i.e. a little Excel sheet, to help you with, well, make all this math nice and simple. In fact, I call it the addiction time experiment calculator. It literally calculates out all the time for you. In fact, let me show you what I mean. Okay, first things first, go down to the description in this video and find the coupon code for this calculator. All you need to do is take that coupon code and go to explosivelearning.org and, well, use that coupon code to download the to download this file. And well, once you get this file, all you have to do very simply, fill in your name, fill in the date, and just plug in the hours that you play roughly per day during the week. And, just maybe 2 hours on a Monday, 3 hours on a Tuesday, and 4 or 2, or maybe one here, and let's go. It's a Saturday, all 4 hours there, and maybe 3 hours on, and so well, that will tell you very quickly as soon as you plug that in. The other thing you need to remember is plug in how old were you when you first started gaming. Now, I've made the default 5 because that's the average age. If you don't remember, a lot of my students, 95% of them, around the age of 5. Some students were, younger, Angry Birds on the grown-ups mobile phone at the age of 2 or 3. Some students older, 8, 9, or 10. But the 5 is the average age. But if you type in, well, your age that you started gaming, just roughly, and the hours that you play during the week, this will then do the calculator thing and figure out, well, this tells you it's 19 hours per week. So 19 hours per week, that's 988 hours per year. And so 988 hours, by the way, that's 41 days. And well, if you started gaming at the age of 5 and you stopped at the age of 18, that says you would play 12,844 hours, which equals 535 days of your life, 24 hours a day, every minute, every second of, well, 535 days. You guys know there's 365 days in a year. Of course you do. So this is a year and a half-ish of your life before the age of 18, just assuming you play a bit. In fact, let's just look at the average ones that I had. So 2 hours a day for most of my students is pretty common. So in fact, let's go 2 hours a day during the week. And most of my students play an extra hour on it. So 3 on a Saturday, 3 on a Sunday. So that says about 16 hours a week, which funnily enough, as we've seen with the data I've shown you, it's 16 and a half hours a week. It's pretty average for a lot of young people. And if you started at the age of 5, well, that means that, well, you're playing about 16 hours a week. That's 832 hours a year. 832 hours, that's 34 and a half days. 34 and a half days, that's 1 month, right? 1 month of your year, 24 hours a day for 1 month. So 1/12 of your year is in a video game. And assuming that you started at 5 and finished at 18, that would be 10,816 hours of your life, or 450 days. I mean, can you imagine what you could do with that time if you used it for anything? Some sports, you'd be like proper sports star, something musical or artistic. You're going to be a famous artist, a musician. Do something technical with 10,000 hours. I mean, you can get black belts in any martial arts with 10,000 hours. Pretty much, you can change the world with 10,000 hours. I mean, literally, that's an amazing amount of time to do an amazing amount of things with. But yeah, 450 days. That's what that is. I hope you found this tool useful, and well, if you did, please, if you've got any tips or ideas, please write that all down in the description. But that's where you'll find the coupon code for this, and where you'll be able to go and obviously download it from explosivelearning.org. I'm creating a few other calculators. I'm going to be doing some money, finance, life skill classes here shortly, and a few other budgety type things. So stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, because, well, that's the only way you're going to know when my next video pops up with some really important life skill tool that you're going to really wish you had in your toolbox when the time comes. So yeah, don't forget. And remember, by doing that, it allows me to share this video with even more people that are interested, because that's how that algorithm works. And maybe you could do me a favor and share it with some of your friends that you might find this stuff really useful and very interesting. I really do appreciate it, because, well, really, none of this means anything if you guys don't like and share it. So I really do appreciate it. And I hope this video empowers you to make more awesome decisions that make a difference in your life. Until the next one, take care, guys.